You already have a personal brand, even if you never post it online, even if you hate the idea of self-promotion. Because whether online or offline, everything from how you present yourself to how you interact with people, that creates your reputation. So the real question isn't whether you have one. It's how are you shaping your brand, or are other people doing it for you? Hi, I'm Laurie. I went from finance to tech, eventually leaving my job to work for myself. And I built a personal brand that shifted with me over time. Eventually, I evolved through this whole process. And I did it by building a personal brand that felt true to who I am, no matter what industry I was in. In this video, I'm going to share a different take on personal branding. And it's not the generic advice that you heard 1,000 times before. Because these are the real lessons that I discovered in the process of building and evolving with my personal brand. All the practical steps, and also the uncomfortable questions that actually will help you stand out. And I put together a free personal branding guide that you can use to build your own brand using the exercise in this video. So get it in the link in the description. When someone asks you, so what do you do? Most people answer with just a job title. This isn't really useful because you can stand out so much more beyond just your professional role. Your brand is not your job title because your brand is the intersection of all of these things. So 1, what do you care about? And 2, what are you learning? And 3, how do you make people feel? Because your job title, it will change over time, but you and your brand, it will evolve. And as humans, we're not expected to stay exactly the same throughout a whole lifetime. Just like in the modern day career path, you will be zigzagging. And that's the fun part of it, is learning how to navigate those changes. That's part of your growth as a person. So when I was in those situations, I used to answer, I work in marketing at a tech company. But now I say, I help ambitious people thrive in their life and work and everything in between. I share ideas around productivity, personal growth, and building a life and path that aligns with who you are. And I can't recommend this enough to think about how you can make this, the answer of what do you do, more interesting, and try this formula to build your own version. I help who, do, feel, achieve, what, by sharing and creating teaching, which is the how. And let's move on to this next point, which is I think a niche is overrated. I wish someone had told me this earlier. You probably heard this as well. Pick a niche, stick to it, don't confuse people. But let me tell you something that helped me break through this myth over time. I realized that your niche isn't your identity. So when I first started posting, I talked about marketing because that was my daily professional life when I was at Google and also at the digital agencies I worked prior to this. Then out of necessity, I started trying to think about how to get more done at work. I discovered this whole world of productivity and started learning about it. And I started to share more about what I'm learning. Then as I was evolving as a person outside of work and changing my own life, I started studying so many books about personal and professional development to help me improve my life, my skills, and my mindset. So I started sharing everything I'm learning about that too. It was this very subtle reflection of everything that I'm experimenting and testing in my own life. So at first I worried I was being inconsistent, but it wasn't really inconsistency. It was the growth of myself. It was a form of evolution. And it was a form of discovery of who I was becoming. And people follow along with my content, not because of the topic or that I'm an expert in any of them, but because I was telling my story every step of the way. Because I decided to document and share. And I was learning in public, allowing my audience along on this journey of being part of the story. So what you need isn't a narrow niche. You need a clear perspective and a story that really kind of thread through everything you do and taking your audience along with you on the ride. So instead of forcing yourself to look into a narrow niche, look for the common thread that connects your experiences, your interests, and your voice. And you can ask yourself some of these questions. What do I keep coming back to in my content, no matter the topic? What questions am I always trying to answer? And what am I helping others see, do, or believe about themselves? And then you should try to write a single sentence that ties all these together. So this has been mine since I started. I'm figuring out how to build a meaningful life while balancing work, ambition, and being present. And I share what helps with me along the way. So now you want to decide on your personal branding non-negotiables. So let's talk about something that most won't tell you about building a personal brand. Most people try to define their brand by asking, what do I want to be known for? And I decided to ask myself something else. What do I not want to be known for? So I made this list of all of my non-negotiables in this journey so far, so I can stay true to who I am. And for me, from the start, I decided to put my stake on the ground. So I don't want to work on projects or ideas that don't align with what I believe in. I don't want to pretend I have it all figured out. And I don't want to chase trends that don't align with who I am. So you can probably see that the way that I share my ideas and content is different because I want to be that way. This is just who I am. I don't think the same as everyone else, and neither do you. So why should we try to be someone that we're not? And whatever you decide, and really think about this because that's your non-negotiable in your brand. It really brings that clarity in who you are. And you will inevitably get a lot of interesting but non-relevant opportunities or things that may look good on the outside, but not the right thing for you to pursue. And saying yes to these will only be your distraction. Because what you say no to is just as important as who you become. And now let's find your 2-word brand. So let me explain what this is. This is a simple method that I just love from Chris Do. He's the Emmy-winning brand strategist. And it's creating a 2-word brand that captures the essence of who you really are. So I've been thinking a lot about mine, and I finally found it. It's intentional high achiever because I don't chase everything. I chose what matters and I choose to go deep on that. So Chris shared that true personal brands, they come from a place of vulnerability, not the perfect version that we show everyone. He recommends to begin by finding out the parts of yourself that you usually hide or dislike. Then use these as the foundation for your authentic brand. Then you can apply this transformer word, which is really a reframe that turns your weakness into a strength. So if you want to find out yours, here's how to do it. First, you want to write down the words you're afraid people might say about you. And we all have those, right? And then you want to find the transformative word that reframes it. And then now combine them. So here's another great example of mine, which is that I'm a perfectionist. That's something I've been dealing with my whole life. But if I turn this around with a reframe, I will call myself a practical perfectionist because I decided to embrace this identity into the progress of everything I do. Rather than letting perfectionism hold me back, I embrace it in improvements in everything I'm working on. Here's something I wish more people understood about building a personal brand. If you're only showing up on social media, while it's a great place to get discovered, you're basically building on rented land because algorithms will change as we've seen with Instagram and many other social media platforms. Social media feeds will only get noisier, and one policy change on any of these can wipe out your reach to your audience overnight. But your own website and newsletter, that's your home that you own. That's where people go to connect with you without all that noise. And that's why I always recommend setting up your own space online. And a great platform I found for that is Ghost. It's a clean, modern tool that lets you publish your ideas without having to know how to code. You can start a website, a newsletter, and build a relationship with your audience all in one place. And what I love most about Ghost is that it's fully customizable to make it your own on your own website URL. Just your words and your message, and you can deliver it how you want, ads-free. If you're serious about growing a personal brand that lasts beyond just a social media account and the latest trends or algorithm change, this is where you can start. So add a link in the description and you can explore Ghost for 10% off your plan and start building your own online space today. And let's talk about this audience first paradox. So a myth in personal branding that's often talked about is to build a personal brand by thinking about your audience first. So here's what I realized. You attract the right audience by creating for yourself first. This took me a while to understand because for so long, I wanted to make content that are useful. And I was afraid that no one wanted to hear my advice or tips. But I now ask myself these questions, and I really encourage you to think about the same as well for your own journey. What would I want to hear if I was 5 years behind? And what do I wish someone had told me when I was stuck? And what ideas light me up right now? Sharing these with those who are behind you and the you from 5 years ago would have loved to see, right? Like this video, for example, which I was making for those who were in my position a few years ago. And these are the things that I wish I knew then. And then you really want to focus on depth, not just visibility. So it took me some time to realize what I was chasing, which was the wrong metrics, when it comes to creating more visibility for my brand. So don't just ask yourself, how can I get more people to see this? It's more about asking yourself, how can I create something so good that people remember it? I think it's time to stop forgetting about going viral. There are actually a lot of reasons why virality is not good for your personal brand, especially if you've gone viral in the wrong topic that you don't want to be talking about again and again and again. But really, the key is to try to be unforgettable instead. So some of the most impactful messages that touched my heart I received weren't from my most viewed videos on this channel, but they were actually the ones that resonated deeply with just a few hundred people. I remember receiving one direct message that said, "This helped me make a big decision in my life. I felt like you were speaking directly to me." And that one message reminded me something, is that impact means so much more than just how many people have seen your content. And this thing that I wish I knew earlier is that I wish I didn't wait for permission to share my voice. I think when I started, I had this massive imposter syndrome. I wasn't sure if anyone would even be interested to listen to what I have to say. But I didn't see a lot of female creators talking about personal growth and productivity, all the topics that I was interested in. And I wanted to create content that really contributed my voice and my experience. You don't need a fancy job title, a big resume, a massive success, or a big following to build your brand. You have these lived experiences, whether you're just starting your journey or been doing it for some time, especially those of you who have been doing decades and decades of professional experience that you can draw from. I worked in finance, digital, and tech for more than a decade. And then later on, I started my own business, navigating this process of becoming a parent at the same time, and also now as a content creator. All of your experiences, someone out there needs it too. And you can help to share what you want to tell the version of you 10 or 20 years ago. And that's more than enough. Start where you are and share what you know. So when I started posting, I didn't have a grand strategy or knew what I was doing or an audience waiting for me. I was just reflecting out loud to what I was learning, trying, and failing at. And the more I shared, the more people related. You'd be surprised how many people are just waiting for someone else to go first. And this is where it all comes together, is that everything compounds with luck. And let me explain what that means, is that the more I share my voice online and offline, whether it's at speaking events or jumping the podcast interview or sharing another video or LinkedIn post, one speaking gig often turns to 10 other invites. One video, it opens a door to so many unexpected opportunities. And one email can spark conversations that leads to more introductions to amazing people that I need to meet. And this is what people call the luck surface area. So the more you show up with value to serve and to impact others, the more serendipity will find you in your life. And this luck surface area formula, it came from Jason Roberts, and it goes like this. So luck equals doing multiplied by telling. So this is where by doing, which is the work that you're putting in, so projects, learning, creating, improving your skills, and then telling, which is sharing what you're doing with the world, like writing, posting all your content, speaking on stages, networking with people. So the more high quality work that you do, and the more strategically you share it, the more surface area you can create for these lucky opportunities like collaborations, clients, and visibility, promotions to find you. You just never know what piece of content could be your bridge to something bigger. So keep showing up and keep building your luck surface area. So I also realized over time that you don't need a big audience. You just need the right one. And this is one quote that I love from Kevin Kelly, who once said, "You don't need 1,000,000 followers. You just need 1,000 true fans." These are people who genuinely resonated with your voice, your values, and what you do in your work. But here's the even bigger secret that most people miss, and that is you don't even need 1,000 to start. Sometimes 100 people who trust you will take you so much more further than 10,000 who just scroll past you. And this is also another reason why I believe the power of building a newsletter versus of building a social media following as part of a personal brand. The people that I spoke to who have made their personal brand a success have usually built a newsletter to loyal readers who resonates with their message, their voice, and what they do. Because regardless what happens with social media, if Instagram or LinkedIn or YouTube, let's say, ever goes offline, you will always have this communication channel open with your audience on your newsletter because You actually own this platform. And all of us still check email daily, right? No matter what happens, especially those of us in our professional lives. And one thing I wish I did earlier is to build this newsletter audience. So I work with clients, collaborators, and dream brands I love to partner with, not because of any post going viral, but because of consistent, honest, and just thoughtful content over time, especially my newsletter, is where I build trust with my audience, is where the best returns on my time. And I've seen people with a couple hundred newsletter readers launching products and services because their audience really needed what they were creating. And I truly believe that connection beats attention every single time. And I think this is the magic of why you should do it this way. Your personal brand stops feeling like something that you're working on or building. It starts to feel like an extension of your life because I stopped chasing the polished external image of what I think I should be. And I started creating for more impact for the audiences. And I feel like these are the things that I wish someone told me earlier before I started learning from all the generic advice that are out there about building a personal brand. Because you already have a brand. And the question is, will you let the outside world define it? Or will you take the lead to shape it into something that you feel proud about? And it's important not to just brand yourself. Remember that you're building yourself and you're always evolving. So if you found this video helpful, share it with a friend who might also be building their personal brand. And remember to subscribe for more videos like these on my channel to help you in your journey ahead. You might also like this video on the top high income skills you need to build your next steps. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.